Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Big Lee's World podcast. It is I, your host, Big Lee, coming to you back again at the mobile recording studio here in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Yeah, just wanted to check back in here. I know it's been a little bit since our last episode. We'll get into the details on why that was and also answer a few of the questions that y'all have been sending via email at bigleesworld@gmail.com, and you've been DMing the Facebook page at Big Lee's World on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Threads. So I just want to answer some of those questions and kind of start off where we left off at, if I can talk today, and kind of get everything up and going. First off, for y'all listening, I want to wish y'all a happy 2024. Hopefully, it'll be much better than your 2023. I know that definitely had some ups and downs in the 2023, so hopefully this means that 2024 is going to be definitely a step up from there. And if everything goes according to plan, it looks like some pretty big things are in the works for the Big Lee's World brand. So I'm excited to share that with y'all as that becomes a little bit closer to reality. So hopefully all of that can continue to pull forward. So with that being said, we'll start off with what was originally supposed to be the next episode a few months back. I was going to talk about going to Lawrence, Kansas to go see one of my favorite bands, Dying Fetus. I've never actually got to see a concert beforehand in Kansas. Went one other time to Kansas City for a Comic Con, but now this is the first concert trip, and got to go to Lawrence, Kansas. I don't know if y'all have ever been to Lawrence, Kansas, but just to give y'all a heads up, it is roughly about an hour outside of Kansas City. You literally kind of drive past Kansas City and get on the toll road, which is probably one of my biggest complaints about the whole trip was when you go there and you get on the toll road, you have to literally get a ticket to get on there, and then you pay the ticket right there when you get off of the toll road at your exit. There's no like real digital system to be like, okay, just like when you go to Chicago and you can either just have it scan your tags or you can get one of them little uh, tow rope boxes you can put inside your vehicle. Either way, well, in Kansas, you can't do that. And that's kind of frustrating, but it happens. It definitely don't let a little minor inconvenience like that ruin your weekend. Even though when I was trying to pay the ticket, those that know I drive a small car and trying to get out the window to pay the ticket, I smashed my head into the top of the car, which did not feel good. But nonetheless, we made it a couple day trip. We left out Thursday night, stayed in Columbia, Missouri, which I've never really spent much time in Columbia. I've drove by it, but that was about it. So stayed in Columbia, just got a cheap little hotel, nothing too crazy. Get up this next morning, ate at a place by the hotel called Big Mama's Cafe. And I'll be honest with you, if you ever go to Columbia, make sure you add Big Mama's Cafe to the list. There are places you need to stop because it was some great home cooking. I had me some breakfast, big old breakfast platter, and man, I tore it up. It was great. And then afterwards, they even had some chocolate cake. So, nothing quite like having biscuits and eggs and hash browns and pancakes. And then on top of it, be finished, have some nice big old chunk of chocolate cake. And it was good. Kind of makes me sit here and think I need to drive just back to Columbia to get some more Big Mama's Cafe. Anyways, we get back on the road and start driving to Kansas. Had to stop get gas at a Casey's. Probably one of the nicest Casey's I've ever been to. Unfortunately, I don't remember the small town that I stopped in for it, but it was nice Casey's. It was kind of weird. They had people out there taking up donations for I forgot what they were, but it was their coffee fund. And at this point, it's kind of chilly out there. And I'm just thinking, man, they're standing outside Casey's trying to build their organization's coffee fund. Seems like Casey's doing good enough business instead of letting them just stand out there. They could have probably just donated them some coffee. But I guess that's neither here nor there. Anyways, hop in the car, drive through Kansas City, or around Kansas City, I should say. Get to where our hotel is, about 30 minutes between Kansas City and Lawrence. Get checked in there. Wild story there for that. So, booked my hotel. like I said, it's just really me traveling for this. So nothing too fancy, just a standard room so I know that I can have a place to sleep after the concert and get back on the road the next morning and start heading back. And I get in there, and the people that were in front of me were upset because they booked a suite, and the suite was on the top floor. Now, of course, y'all that know me knows I'm not the overly most fanciest person out there. So, suites is not something I really stay in. I usually just try to get something, whatever the best deal is that I can get just for a place to sleep so I can get to whatever adventure I'm on. And also, they were not happy with that. So they were complaining, and I'm standing behind them. And of course, I just got the standard room. And apparently, the person that was up there working the front desk was explaining to him, you know, all the rooms have been checked into or have reservations, and there's nothing open. We only have a reservation left for a standard room, and that person hasn't checked in yet. So I'm just kind of back here laughing to myself, and I say, "Oh, that must be my room." And verifies like, "Are you Lee?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, we've got you for the standard room." And they said, "Are you okay with the suite instead? Because we don't want to be on the top floor." And of course, my initial response is, "How much is this going to cost me?" And they're like, "Oh, we wouldn't charge you anything more. We would just put them in your room down here and you take the suite on the top floor." And I'm like, "Well, if you're going to give me a suite for the price of a standard room that I booked on a deal through Priceline, yeah, I'll take that. I'll do that little bit of suffering." So I get my keys to the room, go up to the top floor to the suite. Pretty nice suite. Definitely set up for a party vibe that was not for me. But I got up there, and first thing I did was took a nap. I was tired. I ate too much at the Big Mama's Cafe. Took about an hour nap. Looked around this nice suite I have, thinking, man, I get this nice suite. I should probably do something instead of going to the concert. But you know, I already know what the show's going to. I've already got plans for the show, and there's no one else there with me, so I'm not going to just sit in the suite by myself. So, anyways, I get in the car and I get down, start going down the highway and dealing with the Kansas toll road, like I was talking about. I get to Lawrence, which I had no idea really anything about Lawrence, Kansas. As far as I knew, I just thought Kansas City was this giant town and it was just a little suburb. But I get there and come to find out it's like a college town. Very, I don't know what's the right word to say to describe it. Very collegey, I guess you could say. So we get there. First time, like I said, he didn't know really much about the venue. The venue's called the Granada Theater, and it's kind of in their like little downtowns area. Kind of weird, like you had street parking, like street tow, like not pay, but like you pay to park, and it's just kind of like regular street parking, which seemed kind of weird, but nonetheless, pull up, park, pay, do what I need to do there, and to get out. And it's really like an old theater style building. I'll get more into that here in a little bit. So I go and get in line for the meet and greet, and we go inside, we get checked in and everything, and it's literally just like an old tiny theater that looks like the seats have been ripped out, and it's just a couple of standing areas and an upstairs balcony. So it's reminds me a lot of the New Daisy Theater in Memphis, except a little bit smaller, and the balcony had no chairs here, where the New Daisy had chairs in the balcony. So, anyways, we go through. We go up there to go talk to Dying Fetus. Fun story. They're like, "Hey, I remember you from Chicago. I remember your vest." Which, of course, if you any of the pictures and stuff, like on the back, it's got the Big Lee's World logo, and they remember that you're like the podcast guy, and it's like, "Yeah, that's me." So I thought that was pretty cool when one of your favorite bands, recognizes you from previous shows, and they remember that you have a podcast. And if John and the boys are listening to this somewhere on the road, shout out to Dying Fetus. One of the to me, the best technical death metal band in the scene, and probably in history. You know, some people will argue about Cannibal Corpse being better. Well, I love Cannibal Corpse, but no, no, you're wrong. It's Dying Fetus, because at the end of the day, you got to remember that brutal, angry sound that they make. There's only 3 people in Dying Fetus, and to make that sound out of just 3 members, versus you look at these other bands, it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, however many members they have, and they're not putting out near that sound, that technical death metal sound, like a Dying Fetus has. So, anyways, go through, do the meet and greet, take the group photo with Dying Fetus. I kind of look back at it now. I don't know whatever happened to that group photo with Dying Fetus. Like, I know we used our own phones for the individual photos we got with Dying Fetus, but we took one all as a group, and I just kind of wonder whatever happened to that. I don't think they ever posted it or anything, or if they do, I need to look and see. If I find it, I'll post it on the Big Lee's World socials. Anyways, go through, and I go upstairs to the balcony because I'm old and tired, and I ain't trying to sit down there and mosh there in 5 bands, so I could just stand up there at the top and watch and get some good quality videos to post on the Big Lee's World socials. So, anyways, first up, Louisville band called Gates to Hell. Um, Louisville death metal. Check them out. You like death metal? You like the smaller bands? They're a lot of fun. That's all I can say. I just got to see them again the next month, which is December, in Little Rock for Banging on the Rock Festival, which I'm sure we'll cover somewhere in a later issue. But they were fun. Next up, Creeping Death. They're fun. They come off much better live than they did on the album, so I appreciated that. Third up, which was odd to me because like these are one of the first deathcore bands I remember listening to back in the college days, and that was Despised Icon. And they absolutely killed it. I never knew that they had 2 vocalists. I thought it was just Alex, but apparently they have 2 vocalists, so that's pretty cool. Then, of course, the co-headliner, one of my favorites, and hopefully a favorite of yours, the almighty, the Acacia Strain. Which, if you've never seen the Acacia Strain or you're not familiar with them, if you like a blackened, beat down mixture of deathcore and hardcore, then they're going to be the perfect band for you. I think they played a 20-minute set. They got rowdy. It was fun. Then, oddly enough, I thought this was weird. Probably at least 25% of the crowd left after the Acacia Strain played, which seemed really weird to me because, you still got Dying Fetus, and I figured that would be the band that most people were there to see. But apparently, Lawrence, Kansas loves them the Acacia Strain, and that's what they came out for. And support your favorites. That's what it's all about. Then, like I said, wrap up the night. Dying Fetus played a killer set, added a couple of new elements to their set, the one I'd previously seen on, I guess it'd be the first leg of the tour, which was uh, Chaos and Carnage 2023 with them and Suicide Silence when it came to Chicago. So that was pretty cool to see. Probably a good solid 45, 50-minute set if I remember right. Nothing but bangers left and right. So that was a blast. Excited to see them coming up in May. They just announced, I think last week as we're recording this, they're coming to Delmar Hall the last Friday in May with who's on that 200 Stab Wounds, Cruelty from Japan, and I want to say, is it called Psycho Ward? Anyways, it's a Friday night show. I think tickets are like $25, so make sure you pick your tickets up to see Dying Fetus when they finally make the return to St. Louis after it's been what, 2 years, I think, 2 or 3 years since that last show they did out at Pops with Frozen Soul. So if you're interested in seeing the greatest technical death metal band in history and a great up and coming band like 200 Stab Wounds, make sure you go to get your tickets over at Delmar Hall for that big show coming up at the end of May. So, anyways, after the show, got back on the tow road. That's where I bashed my head on the car sill, trying to get my head out the window to deal with the tollway ticket, since they didn't, of course, do anything online, which would make more sense. Get back to the hotel. After that, nothing crazy. Just took a drive back, hit up a gas station, pick up some old time candy and stuff. They have what they call Stuckies, which those of us that grew up in the South knew about Stuckies. They do a lot of old fashioned candies and stuff like that. So to see one up north was kind of crazy. I hadn't been to one in years. I was able to stop off there and get something to get you some snacks. I stopped in St. Louis, got something to eat, and then next thing you know, I was back on the road, back to Cape. So, in essence, that was my first trip to Lawrence, Kansas. I definitely wouldn't mind to go back. I really enjoyed the Granada. Like I said, it's a small venue. Definitely memories of the New Daisy in Memphis. Overall, the staff was pretty cool. I did think it was funny. They were trying to work on their social media presence by interviewing different people out there in the line about what made them decide to come to this particular concert, what these songs and these bands meant to people, and just sitting there laughing because nobody really wanted to do their interview. And I felt bad for them because they look all defeated, but it's really like, I don't think this is the type of crowd that you want to know why exactly, you know, the songs like Throw 'em in the Van by Dying Fetus really just moves them, or Compulsion for Cruelty. So maybe, just maybe, that one was just a L on their part, and hopefully the other shows that come through there, they have a little bit better grasp of what bands are coming there and who about whether or not it should be a good idea to interview them or not. So, anyways, like I said, overall great experience. Definitely plan to go back. Definitely plan to go back and see Dying Fetus. Like I said, we've already got our tickets for May, and we are looking at a couple other dates to see about going to see them again. I know they're coming to Nashville Memorial Day weekend, I think it is. So I may hit that one up as well. Hit up two Dying Fetus shows, so and make a return to Nashville. Although I'm trying to schedule one up in March, but we'll talk about that on another episode as well. So, with that being said, we'll go ahead and tackle some of these questions that you have or that have been sent over. One, well, probably the biggest one is what happened. So, to be honest with you, we had a couple guests scheduled up to go into the holidays to record episodes with, stuff like that. I got really bad sick. I got an upper respiratory infection that seemed to get pretty rough. And yeah, there was just no way for me to record or really do too much of anything. Still got some lingering effects of it, which is kind of crazy. Like, still kind of coughing and phlegm and stuff like that. Even though the medicine's supposed to have healed it, like, it's just the residual effects of it. So hopefully that'll be finished pretty soon, and then we'll be back to 100%. So I definitely plan to get those guests rescheduled and announced pretty well soon. And then although it's between that, the holidays, dealing with family stuff, things like that, um, just kind of got backlogged with things to do and issues to resolve and stuff like that. So, anyways, that's kind of what happened with it. So we should be back into motion now, unless something crazy happens, which hopefully it doesn't. Because, like I said, I'm in the process of rescheduling some guests and stuff like that, getting them on here and getting some more content out. And then let's see here. The next big one is I was doing a second podcast. What happened with it? Well, that one's a little bit more of a detailed answer. So, what ended up happening was, of course, those that know, I was doing a wrestling podcast with a wrestling company I've been a part of for a few years. And some plans had changed. And a lot of us wasn't in agreement to the plans that had changed for the stories and stuff like that. And felt the need to find a way to tie things together to kind of help not let what was happening with this one particular show changed the trajectory of what was needing to be done with the show. And at that time, some things had fell through. Some things people had gotten upset and left the company. And that changed those plans for what was going to be the November show and what was supposed to happen there. And the things that were in replacement for it was not a big fan of. And we needed to find some way to, I felt personally like I needed to find a way to, in essence, get people interested in something that was going to was supposed to happen, but not lose focus on, I said it's the right way, not lose focus on what we had been working on up the past couple of months and keep that momentum going. So, in essence, I took the ideal of really trying to push what originally was pitched to me as almost like a company versus company show. And I was pitching the ideal of making it to where, that the company I worked for was, in essence, the good guy, even though the guy that was representing us was the bad guy. But brand loyalty, I guess, is what I'm trying to look for to see. Is, coming from the hardcore scene, it's like you represent your crew. And kind of pulling that into this, it was one of those things. It's like, well, even though in essence this is the bad guy, we still need to make people understand that he may be the bad guy, but he is also our guy. And anybody coming in to quote unquote go against him is the enemy. And we need to present this in a way that, you know, these people coming in are quote unquote the bad guys, which in essence apparently wasn't what wanted to be done, and apparently wanted the complete opposite of what I done. So, nonetheless, we got in there. We said we did this podcast, and we put over how our quote unquote bad guy was the good guy for this show, and anybody coming in was the enemy. And long story short, apparently that got crossed with some people. Some people got upset. People got in their feelings. People misinterpreted what it was supposed to do. So, anyways, like I said, a longer story, shorter than, even though it's kind of long, nonetheless. Anyways, it was come out that a lot of people got their feelings up into arms and stuff like that about it. So, um, it was brought to me that, in not the best terms, that the episode needed to be taken down. And at that point, I'm already frustrated. I'm frustrated with how things are going. I'm frustrated with the trajectory of things and how, instead of wanting to fix a minute hiccup in the long term path, it was, in essence, felt like it was just being given up on and things were not going as followed. And that, I guess the best other way to say it is that I liked how the plans were before, and I didn't necessarily care for how the things were being projected to go. And that already put me in a bad state of mind. And then when this came out that I need to quote unquote take the episode down from the powers to be, that crossed me in the wrong way. And then I said, okay, I'll take it down, and I'm going to take all of them down. And then I'm done. Done recording the wrestling podcast and done working for this company. So in the moment, you know, I was basically told, that's what you need to do. That's fine. Take it down and you can quit. So, I man of my word. I took it down and I quit. Pure and simple. I quit doing the second podcast and I quit working for the wrestling company. So that's in a nutshell what happened. And like I said, this was back in November, right around the time as I'm oddly enough doing the whole traveling for Dying Fetus. So that probably also didn't help the decisions there. Since then, I'll be honest, I've met with the powers to be at the wrestling company, and we talked and had more of a understanding that what the goal was trying to do, and that we probably didn't go about it the best way. We probably should have just, I think we kind of mutually agree, we probably should just left it up and played it by ear and, seen things through instead of jumping to conclusions and stuff like that. Like I said, hindsight's 2020, but at the end of the day, I'm cool with the boss man of the wrestling company, or at least I think I am. I was the other day. Then I was supposed to meet up with him again to eat, and he got pretty busy, and then he never texted me back. So that's neither here nor there. That's a side story for another day. But overall, I think we're good. And then I don't, as far as somebody said that you're gonna go back, you may see me eventually at a show backstage, but I don't really currently have any desire or interest to go ahead and go back there, or honestly really do too much with any of the local wrestling companies in this area or in the good old southeast Missouri area. If my official write off being done with Missouri wrestling was working that show in Poplar Bluff, then I'm pretty stoked with that being the final goodbye. And like I said, you may see me backstage eventually at a show, but I just at this point, it's just not something that I have real interest in. Like I said, I don't have beef with them. I don't have beef with the boss man. As far as I'm good with them. If anybody's got beef with me, then that's on them because I don't have beef with any of them. But and I wish the boss man, you know, nothing but success and good luck on doing, working on the wrestling company and getting its numbers back up. I think that, I think he has the potential to do it if he just stands his ground. He knows what needs to be done. I know he knows what needs to be done. And I know that he's just going to have to, in essence, be the one to follow the plan and get it back up to where it needs to be. So, like I said, I wish him nothing but success. I ain't got any beef with him. Like I said, just overall at the end of the day, you know, my path, my pathway or my time there came to an end. My choice. I think the door would always be open if I ever decide to go back. I just, it's nothing personal. I just don't have any real desire to. This gives me time to work on some other projects and still dabble a little bit into certain wrestling businesses, which that we'll talk about on another episode. But anyways, so as far as that goes, like I said, that's kind of what happened. Uh, One of the other things that somebody asked me that kind of stayed up and up on this stuff was, since I pulled the episode off of there that caused all this headache, if I would republish it on the Big Lee's World channel to let everyone else listen to it and make their own decisions. I thought about it. You know, I I could be spiteful or vindictive against those who really wanted to get all up in arms about everything. But at the end of the day, man, like mental peace, that's what it's all about. So to answer that question, if you were one of the 10 people that got to hear it before the episode got pulled, because just so you know, like we could see different time frames and I can see where podcast episodes are listened to at and how many listen to it at a certain point in time. So if anybody tries to tell you any wild or crazy stories, just I would tell you this: the episode got pulled when 10 people heard it, and you know, so it ain't nothing too crazy that it's worth putting out there and reposting on another channel just to get a rise out of people and get their thoughts. So, like I said, it's all about internal peace, mental peace. So, yeah, I'm not gonna post it anywhere else. I have no desire. Um, the other thing is that I do want to bring up as far as that goes. It's been brought to my attention that some people that may have been involved with that podcast are not getting treated the best because of their involvement on that episode, and people are giving them the not quite the cold shoulder, but kind of having attitude and kind of being a little well, what's the word here? Giving them a hard time basically because of them being part of it. Just know if you're doing that because of you and yourself. Because anyone else that was on that episode had no real idea what I was doing and did not really push any kind of narrative to anything to cause anybody headaches or anything like that. It was all on me. It was my decision. So, if you've got a problem with them, then I don't know what to tell you, but you anyone trying to not be cool with them because of it, yeah, that's not cool at all. Like, I understand that, like, if you got a problem because you misinterpret something with me, that's one thing. I ain't got a beef with any of them or anybody. So that's, if you have a beef with me, then that's all on you to begin with. But nonetheless, if you're trying to have a beef or problems with the other people that was there recording it, that's just nonsense. They had nothing to do with it. And if anybody that knows me or actually knows me knows that, like, if I have something in my mind I'm going to do, you're not going to talk me out of it. So I just want to put that out there. Trying to, like I said, just smooth some things over with them. Like, I'm good with them as far as like with the people I record it with. Good with them. Just, and if anybody's got a problem with them being a part of it, then I mean, like I said, that's on you, and that's just silly because they had nothing to really do with it, and well, they had nothing that they could do to stop me from saying anything. So, just want to put that out there as well. As far as like the future, yeah, we're gonna be recording. As far as the Big Leagues World podcast goes, we've got a few guests that we're finishing lining out the details on and getting them up here. Definitely want to talk about this up and coming wrestling promotion in Corning, Arkansas. I had to think of the name here. I wanted to call it something else, but I remember it was Corning, Arkansas. They're doing their second show, Inhumane Wrestling. We're recording of this. It'll be this Saturday night, February the 3rd. I believe it's the 3rd. Down there, you can get your tickets for $10 at bigleesworld.com. So if you're looking to check out a up and coming promotion, it's their second show. Madman Pondo's coming in, Charlie Pierce, Ali Alexandra, and all your favorites will be there. So $10 tickets. I'm hoping to get the promoter on here next. That's going to be the next episode coming up, I think, if I can get that scheduled up to get him on here and kind of talk about that. As far as that goes, just scheduling some guests. I do plan to be at the Squared Circle Expo in Indianapolis, Indiana. Make sure if you're big into wrestling, it's a great Midwest wrestling convention. You can come out and meet all your favorite wrestlers. Our friends at Black Label Pro are running a show that Friday night there. They've got stacked talent. So make sure you check out Black Label Pro and Squared Circle Expo. Coming up at the end of March in Indianapolis. What else we got coming up? I think that's about it. We got a couple of concerts coming up. We got Pantera on February 10th over at Memphis. That should be a good time. Oh, our friends over at RPW March 2nd back at the Berwyn Eagles in suburbia Chicago. I believe it's suburban Chicago. I could be wrong about that. It's somewhere in Chicago, Berwyn, where we usually go for the death matches. They're doing a big no rope barbed wire show featuring good brother Otis Kogar against Hardway Heater in the no rope barbed wire. So make sure you hit up RPW and get those tickets for March 2nd. And I'm trying to think what else. We only have a couple of concerts squeezed in between there, but otherwise, you know, March, or not March 2024, well, March specifically, is really looking to start filling up. So excited about that. Excited for having y'all check us out here. Appreciate all the support in the downtime. Appreciate everyone that, reached out, checked on things, wished a happy birthday, wished happy holidays. Appreciate everyone that picked up some merch over at bigleesworld.com. We dropped a new logo shirt over there. So make sure you check that out and pick up some Big Lee's World merch. Help support the brand, help support gas money, keep going to these crazy events and talking to people. So like I said, I appreciate the support. Appreciate y'all taking the time to listen to this today. Like I said, I know it's kind of been a weird, random episode here. Like I said, I wanted to get that covered over that Lawrence trip. Like I said, I wanted to do it a couple months, 2 months ago, but like I said, being sick and everything, and kind of taking effect on the voice here and ability to talk for a while. So, I'm glad to be able to get that covered. And then, like I said, I wanted to answer some of these questions that people have been asking. Like I say, whether they email them at bigleesworld@gmail.com, hit up the socials at Big Lee's World, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or they just see me out in the streets, out in the different events, and ask. It's like, I've been asked quite a few times, hey, what happens with you in this certain promotion? And, I kind of, I'm willing to talk to anyone that wants to talk about it. So, I tell them, I'm like, hey, this is what happened. This is my mindset. And, you know, it led to me leaving the company. And as far as, like I said, at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned with upper management myself, there's no beef, there's no heat. Like I said, I wish them nothing but success. And I wish them nothing but success in their other outside of wrestling endeavors. I know that they're doing some work on their quote unquote shoot job, doing some stuff like that, getting that built up. And, I respect the hustle, and I respect what they're trying to do to get the business up and stuff like that. So, I wish him nothing but success. And I would even like one day to have him come on here and we'll just talk on the podcast about things. We'll talk about life after, life after CCW. I'll talk about my stories, and, if he has something he wants to add to, what happened that weekend and stuff like that, always more than welcome to come on here. And, if he wants to add anything, or like I said, I don't have any beef with any of them. I'm good. Caleb recorded with us, Caleb Carter, the prime voice of pro wrestling. I hope to have him back on here soon to talk about some adventures of ours. But, I talked to him the other day, and we had dinner and everything's good. And, there's no problem, stuff like that. Corey Tocino, Bacon. I'm not really too sure what I think it's Tocino, what he goes by. Anyways, I seen he had his last match, but I seen he's got his Casino Creations, and he's just got a big time promotion and stuff like that. So, much respect to him. I'm glad he's doing good, and I'm proud of the growth that he's had, and I'm proud of the growth that Caleb's had, and everything. And I like, and that's the things, like, I like to see my friends win, and I do get frustrated if I see anything that I feel like is going to hinder that growth. Because then, like I said, at the end of the day, I want to see all my friends win. You know, and you're listening to this, you're a friend of mine. I want to see you grow. I want to see you win. You're a supporter of the Big Leagues World brand. Just know I appreciate you, and I want to see you grow, and I want to see you win. And, that is what it is. So, with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. Thanks for, like I said, picking up merch at bigleesworld.com. Thanks for supporting the podcast. Thanks for sharing the episodes out. Following us on the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram threads at Big Lease World. And like I said, if you ever have any questions, feel free to DM the page or email us at bigleesworld@gmail.com. And like I said, we're getting some guests scheduled up and have the podcast back into full force in 2024. Thanks for the love and support. And as always, 2 scoops of whoop, whoop, whoop.